Good evening and welcome back to the program. I want to let you know our veteran segment is sponsored by the Home Independence Day celebration, along with our Terrebonne Patriots Incorporated, and by South Louisiana Bank. All right, it is always glad to welcome my friend, Mr. Danny Picou. Danny Picou, of course, with the Terrebonne Patriots Incorporated. Welcome, Danny.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate that. Sitting next to him, Mr. Andrew Lefevre. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you.
All right. And sitting next to him is Miss Gerica Sears. Welcome, Miss Gerica.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I appreciate that. Now, one of these things is let me go ahead and give your titles, because that's something that a lot of people don't necessarily know. Both of you work at Terrebonne General, which I can tell you I have an affinity for, because I know what it's like to work there, and I'm expecting that your military service has prepared you for whatever it is that you do nowadays, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Sure.
But Andrew, you are a CRNA, a Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist
right.
at Terrebonne General Medical Center. And as important, if not more, you're a major in the U.S. Army
Correct.
Reserve. And you've done that for how long?
22 years.
22 years.
Yes,
and so, Ms. Gerica, also with Terrebonne General Medical Center, but you are a CST and a CSFA, and so
Yes,
that
sir.
is a certified surgical tech or technologist and a certified surgical first assistant.
Yes, sir.
And you're also a sergeant in Louisiana Army National Guard.
Yes, sir. And I've been in the military 16 years.
And see, that's one of the things that we've been talking about. Our show was all about you guys tonight. Our show was about honor and thankfulness. And so I tell you, I honor your service, and I'm thankful that you've done it. And more importantly, I appreciate the fact that you've learned some of that and come back and done that with us here. So let me ask you first, a lot of the similar questions. Andrew, why is it that you were motivated to join the Army or the military? What was it?
Well, initially in 1991, graduated from Vanderbilt. My brother was in the military. He was in the Louisiana National Guard here in Houma.
James.
And James. And I just kind of took after his ways. He was in nursing school. He was in the National Guard. And so I needed a way to get into school and to accomplish my goals. And the National Guard at that time was the way to go.
Wow.
So I did 8 years there with the Black Sheep here in Houma.
Black Sheep here in Houma.
Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned your current rank is major.
That's correct.
And you've been in the service 22 years.
That's correct. So
Wow.
I did my 8 years, and I received the rank of sergeant in that 8 years with the National Guard.
Wow.
And then I got out, became a nurse. In 03, I got my direct commission as a first lieutenant.
Wow.
And then been in ever since. And
There's a nice shot of you there.
yeah.
Very cool. So what's your primary role in the service now?
So now I do the same thing I do as a civilian. I'm a CRNA in the Army. I'm an Army CRNA.
Oh, wow.
Same thing. So
That's
yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
So maybe a story
Sure.
about an impactful day that you've had serving?
Yeah, so the thing, when I read that question, I thought about the year I spent in Germany as an ICU nurse then. This is when I was an ICU nurse.
Okay.
Yeah. I got my anesthesia degree in 2009, 10, but this is when I was a nurse. I spent a year in Germany, and there I worked at Lonsdale Regional Medical Center. It's the largest hospital outside of the United States. Every injured soldier has to go through this base before.
In Europe.
Correct.
Yep.
Before coming to the States. And it was there where I met a few soldiers, and I think that impressed me the most, taking care of those wounded soldiers. There's a lot of young kids that you hear in the news about losing their lives, but you don't hear about the injuries, about the amputations, about the losing the eyes, and just that's the part that hit hard. And I enjoyed taking care of those soldiers. It was one-on-one the whole time there, one nurse per soldier, and you just so much respect for them. And they were so thankful for their for the service we were giving them. They were thankful.
Wow.
And so that I just stood out in my mind in my 22 years. That year was really, I learned a lot about myself and about these soldiers.
And so I think we understand your role as a nurse, role as a CRNA, but how long have you been at Terrebonne General?
Now Terrebonne, I've been 20 years. Wow. Yeah.
Around your service?
Around my service. That's right.
So the hospital has been honorable to that.
Absolutely.
See, and that's a big deal.
It's
a community hospital who supports our veterans.
That's right.
Because our community does. Part of the reason for sitting next to the gentleman that you're talking about some wounded warriors and his involvement with them and our community and what he does for it, but Terrebonne General is a part of that as well, which is just really, really nice.
That's right.
And so how does Terrebonne General accommodate your active duty role? I didn't even know that was going to be the next question,
Yeah,
but
sure.
okay.
Well,
Or your schedule.
I have to say that in order to succeed in the reserves, you have to have a great support system. And that starts with your family, your spouse, your children, and then, of course, your employer. And without that chemistry, it's going to be really difficult to get 22 years in. And Terrebonne has always been super supportive. I've given them a lot of warning when it was time to be mobilized. I did a year at ICU. I did three-month stints as a CRNA, and they always are there backing you up, supporting you, and just making you feel like you can continue. And because not many of us.
Yeah.
That's in the reserve. So.
And I think you just answered the next question. That's how you balance work and family, is that you have a great support system from both.
That's right.
And so last thought is, how does being in the military affect your life today or change your outlook about today?
Well, it gives you a greater appreciation for everything, for the little things. Like the support system. Whenever I take the place of a regular Army soldier who goes forward to the desert,
right.
My stool's empty at Terrebonne General. So guess what? A CRNA, one of my buddies, has to sit that stool when I'm gone. So they're sacrificing. Mm-hmm. So they're late to get home, and their family's sacrificing. So it's just not just thankful for the soldiers, it's thankful for everyone. You have to really think everyone's involved in this, because it's a sacrifice for everyone involved, for sure.
Wow. Very impressive. And so, Gerica, for you, what motivated you to go into service?
Well, my freshman year of college, all I did was like work, and I would go to school, and I wanted to get out and interact with others versus just, being to myself. Okay. And I needed a little assistance with education, so I decided to go into the Yellow Pages. Oh. And see a different opportunity, like where can I go next? Wow. So what I ended up doing, I found the recruiter here in Houma at Black Sheep, Ricky Johnson. And I spoke with him, and after, everything met my needs, I went with him to MEPS, passed the physical, and I ended up joining the military December 14th of 2000. Okay. And been in ever since. Well, actually, I got out in 2012. Okay. December 14th, 2012, I got out. I took a break for 2 years to see what it was like to become a civilian. Right. Like, don't have to worry about any obligations or anything like that. And then I missed it. It wasn't like, it was just crazy for the simple fact that I wasn't used to that world. Right. Like not going to drill 1 weekend out of a month. Right. I was missing my military family. So after that, I decided to join the military December 31st of 2014. Okay. And I ended up joining the infantry unit local here in Houma, which is like totally different from like the unit that I was in before. Okay. I was in the engineer unit for 12 years. Okay. So the living lifestyles and arrangements was completely different. Wow. I'm going to tell you a story about Ricky Johnson a little later. The man I'm closest to. He's my next door neighbor. Oh, okay. And awfully actually, special man. Yeah, it's crazy. And actually what? Actually, like he let me work for him, go to school, and I was in the military. So it's like I had 2 jobs. And he was able to help you do that? Yes. What is your primary role in the service now? My primary role in the service is food service specialist. Wow. Yep. That's nice. That makes a difference. So it's something different. So I do a little bit of everything. Talk about serving others. Yeah. That makes a difference. Maybe a story that you could tell us about serving? Back in 2008 for Hurricane Gustav, I used to do search and rescue missions. So when we went out to Cameron Parish, the low-lying areas, and when we finally got to these civilians who was trapped, and some of them had kids, and like seeing the expression on their face, like when we was there to help them and rescue them and like help them put their kids in the boat and belongings, all they could tell us was like, thank you. Just seeing that, expression, and you're like, wow, I'm a hero. And me personally, I don't know how to swim that well. So I was putting my life at risk to go out and help others. Wow. And that's one of the things that I keep learning over and over and over again about people who are in the military. It's never really about them. Mm-hmm. It's about what they can do for other people. And I appreciate and respect that so much. Let's talk a little bit about your role at Terrebonne General. Okay, my role at Terrebonne General. I've been at Terrebonne General since September of 2006. I started there as an extern and surgical technologist. Okay. Yes, and then after that, I finished my extern, and they asked me if I wanted to continue my employment there. So I decided to stay there. And September 1st of 2018, I became a first assistant. Which is a really big deal. Yes. You're the first person helping the surgeon. Yes. When they say they need scalpel, you the scalpel. Yes, sir. That's impressive. And I know some people that have done those roles. Mm-hmm. I can tell you to move up and do that in both areas. Very, very impressive. Something brief about how you find the work balance and how Terrebonne General supports that. For the most part, my director, Wendy, she's very good with supporting me. I give her my drill schedule at the beginning of the military year, which is October.
Okay.
So I request off all my dates, and then for the summertime, I have to take military leave. So then I go to Human Resource and I submit my paperwork for the military leave, and I let them know when I'm returning. And like Terrebonne General, one thing about their program, they give you 3 weeks of paid military leave.
Wow.
Which is awesome.
Wow.
It's a luxury.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Sure.
Well, guys, I got to tell you, I cannot thank you enough for what you do every day in helping to save lives at Terrebonne General and giving up your life and your service to save and help others through the military. Cannot thank you enough. There are not enough thank yous, but very much appreciated.
And without like my family, my husband for the most part, without him, you know, I wouldn't be in the military because I have 2 young kids.
Wow.
And it's like when I'm going, he's a single father. He has to do everything by himself.
He's mom and dad.
Yes. And my grandmother and my siblings, they kind of help out.
Yeah. It's interesting. Kind of sounds like you, that he does 2 roles, but kind of sounds like that's what both of you do every day, 2 roles. Mr. Danny, let's turn things over to you. We had such a wonderful celebration. Let's let you talk about it a little bit on Veterans Day.
Let me say this. About 2 weeks ago, I received a phone call from a teacher, Elise LaBeouf, at Vanderbilt High School. And Elise asked me, she said, Mr. Danny, you connected so much with the wounded warriors and the veterans and everything. I need help. I said, what you need, Elise? She says, I need a guest speaker for Veterans Day, which was this past Monday, the thing they do around 9 o'clock at the school.
Yes, sir.
I said, there's no problem in the world, Elise. I'll have that done for you. So I called a guy in Lafayette. Name is Major Barry Guidry. And as you see on the screen right now, Barry is in a wheelchair. And you see him standing up in that wheelchair. He's braced in, but he's standing up. He gave one of the most warming welcomes I've ever seen to veterans, and then he started on the kids. And all the response I got from that was, man, let him talk. Well, it's not my place to let him talk, and the program was only scheduled for so long.
Right.
But the coach has asked us to come back and talk to the actually baseball players now.
Okay.
So, you know, I want to thank Elise and Vanderbilt for, you know, letting us come over and show what we can do for Terrebonne Parish.
Wow.
And then on something, another good note, and I'm going to get off of military a little bit.
Okay.
The Hercules Carnival Club has a Thanksgiving meal this Sunday at the Municipal Auditorium, which the doors open up at 9 o'clock. We serve lunch at 11 o'clock. It's for the needy and all senior citizens of Terrebonne Parish. And please come out. Come out and enjoy the day. There's music and everything. We were asked, as my organization, which I'm part of Hercules, but the Terrebonne Patriots was asked to go give them a helping hand, and we're going to be there to give them a helping hand. So I want to invite all the senior citizens and the needy, you know, for this parish, you know, out there, Keith. And, you know, just to tell you a little quick, went to the Wounded Warriors, went to Houston, Texas. Didn't want to go. It's the best thing I ever did in my life. Yeah, I'm telling you,
that's why they came and pick you up.
I learned so much of what that organization does. You think that they take money from the government, everything. They don't take a nickel from the government. They raise their own money through things, and I was very impressed. And if anybody out there needs help, and you are with the Wounded Warrior Project, let me know. I can put you in touch with so many people in the Wounded Warrior Foundation that your head would spin, and so much they can do for you.
Right.
You know, I got friends, I go drink coffee, I told you that many times, but about 20 guys every morning. I don't miss. Well, I missed 5 days out of 2 years. So I did pretty good. But I like to say there's 2 guys from the Vietnam. There's Army, Gilbert Degg. Gilbert, hello out there, buddy. And Marine, Jerry Tar Danos. Jerry, thank you. Both of them in Vietnam. They both served in the battlefields of Vietnam, and thank y'all for your service.
We appreciate that. One of the things Danny's not going to tell you is that he went to get an award in Houston for all of the work that he does with the Wounded Warriors, and that's what we in our community are thankful for. Mr. Danny, let's give out your information again. In case anybody wants more information, they can reach out to Mr. Danny Picou. Again, President of the Terrebonne Patriots. His cell phone, 985-637-0156, or you can reach him by email at Karen, Karen, .lapco@yahoo.com. Give him a call. I'll be glad to do it. Cannot thank you, the 3 of you, enough for what you do for our community and for others. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Guys, that'll do it for us for this segment. Don't go anywhere. Harry McCullough up next with sports.